Bob Bowlsby sure didn't wait long to try and mitigate the losses of Texas and OU, two perennial powers within the Big 12. But now Bowlsby and the Big 12 have announced that they plan on adding 4 new members in 2023, and we've got to talk about this. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited about the news that BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston will be added to the Big 12 in 2023? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content, and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy that content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's quickly run down this. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this is really interesting information and a big development in what has been a constant evolving storyline surrounding the Big 12 and conference expansion as a whole, one that we're going to have to keep our eye on. But ultimately, what this move means is really interesting. First and foremost, these 4 teams are looking to make their entrance within the Big 12 in 2023. So theoretically, there could be a situation where these 4 new teams are playing in the Big 12 alongside Texas and Oklahoma. Now, many people, myself included, don't really expect Texas and Oklahoma to be in the Big 12 in 2025 whenever their contract officially expires. I believe the move is going to be coming much quicker than that. They both have the resources to get out of the Big 12 deal, so that's something we're going to have to watch. But in theory, at least, these 4 teams could be matched up with Texas and Oklahoma. An interesting kind of thought game to play. I personally don't expect it to happen, but once again, an interesting thought game to play. So what does it mean that these 4 teams have been added? Well, first and foremost, let's go down the list. In BYU, you have a team that has national attention and it always finishes really well. We always look to BYU as a team that does really well and plays some good football. So them being within the Big 12 is a good get for the Big 12 and Bob Bowlsby. Going down to UCF, UCF is really interesting. Not only does it open up Florida to the Big 12, which Florida is one of the hottest recruiting beds in the nation, so opening that up to your conference is huge. It also gives them Gus Malzahn, the former Auburn head coach, now at UCF, another good coach added into the Big 12. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Gus Malzahn UCF kind of marriage continues to grow. That's definitely a story I'm interested in. But it also gives them a university that has a really large student body, which is a net positive for the Big 12 because of what it means going forward. Looking down at Houston, they get to add in a Texas team where they lose a Texas team. Houston stepping up really makes logical sense. You continue having another team in Texas, and Houston has been really good in both football and basketball here recently. On top of that, Dana Holgorsen, who was the head coach of West Virginia, moves down to Houston as the head coach there. So now Dana Holgorsen ironically finds himself back in the Big 12, or at least if he's the head coach there in 2023. And lastly, the team I'm probably most interested in, Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been a hot topic for about a year and a half now. Luke Fickell has done an unbelievable job with that program ever since taking over. And with Cincinnati being in Ohio, not only does the Big 12 now get Florida, a very hot recruiting bed, they also get to double down and get Ohio, another state very, very known for its recruiting and the prospects it puts out. So ultimately, the interesting thing about it is the Big 12 got draw in BYU. They got a UCF team that allows Florida, the state, to be opened up in recruiting in a new way. And UCF has a very large student base, which will ultimately be a net positive for the Big 12. Houston is a team that has been really good in football and basketball over the previous few years, and they're a team that's in Texas. So where they lose the Texas Longhorns, they get to add in another Texas team. Once again, UCF having Gus Malzahn, Houston now having Dana Holgorsen. You're getting big-name coaches being added in to the Big 12, which is a draw. That's something that will help. And then lastly, Cincinnati, the team I'm probably the most excited for making their entrance into the Big 12. Cincinnati is a team that played Georgia very close in the bowl game last year. They have a really solid quarterback this year. Head coach is really good. They're a draw. They're going to be getting media attention, and ultimately at the end of the day, much like Florida, it opens up Ohio. Now, the one thing that I find incredibly interesting about all of this, and I'm really interested in hearing from y'all, When asked about this, the AAC commissioner straight up said that it kind of seems like Bob Bowlsby is doing what he accused the SEC of doing and other conferences of doing in trying to poach talent. Now, he said it in a half-joking manner, but at the end of the day, he still said it. So it is going to be interesting to see how this whole situation is handled going forward. What a time to be alive and to be a college football fan with all of these moving parts, with all of this evolution, with NIL, with athlete pay, and now conference realignment. What a time. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.